The House, dialogue sequence, directed by Ashley Hoskins. Scene description. I picked scene 4, that is interior house day. So this scene is really long because it have a lot of dialogue on it. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna kind of do a synopsis of the scene. So this scene comes after the supermarket where David bought the Ouija. So he comes to the house, he opens the Ouija board, and he listens to the voicemail of his job one more time. But this time the audience can actually hear the voicemail. So after he do that, that's enough for encourage himself to start playing the Ouija board and try to communicate with Benjamin. Benjamin is the ghost of the house. He was a father of a family, which his son killed everybody in that family, and Benjamin got trapped in this house since that day. So he's really protected with the house, and what David is trying to do is trying to talk to Benjamin in order for us for help from him so he can help him selling the house. So when David tries to talk to Benjamin through the Ouija board, when Benjamin appears, he says, "Why are you playing with that stupid game?" Saying that the Ouija board is not why he came. He came because he doesn't want David to be there. So after a lot of dialogue fighting Benjamin trying to like kick out David of his house, David turned out the whole story by telling him that his house is gonna be destroyed if they don't sell it. So at this moment on the scene, uh, all the cars turn around, and now Benjamin start to be nice with David. He actually start to listen to David and his plan and how he is planning to sell the house to people. So David start to become more confident, and because before this he was completely insecure. So David started talking to Benjamin. He started telling him how he's gonna sell the house, that they're gonna lie to people, that they're gonna scare people, but that Benjamin needs to allow at least for the people to come to live a week there before he scare them enough so they can leave. And Benjamin, after trying to not accept this deal, he convinced himself to accept it just because he's worried about somebody else destroying where he lives. And that's the end of the scene. The scene ends with Benjamin and David coming to a deal together. The essence. So the essence of this film, of this scene, I'm sorry, starts with first David. David starts being super scared of what he's gonna do because he's gonna talk with somebody in the other world. He's scared of who Benjamin is gonna, how Benjamin's gonna react, who Benjamin's gonna be, because he doesn't know Benjamin. So that's the main, the mainly thing that David is feeling at the start of the scene, that is scared. This scene also have a lot of personality twist because it starts with both actors acting in a way, and then after after what is going to happen to the house is put on the table, both characters change of personality. So that's also the essence of this particular scene, because it's how we're gonna see David act in the future, and it's how we're gonna see Benjamin act with David also in the future, in the future of the movie. Then self-confident. So as I said before, David is really insecure, and when he starts talking to David, I'm sorry, when he starts talking to Benjamin and trying to convince him to be on his team, he becomes more confident. So this is the first time that we actually see David believing on himself and doing his job, that is selling an idea. Concern. That's another important part of this scene in specific, is the concern of both characters, of David and Benjamin. Benjamin because he's really concerned of having people living there in the house, and also really concerned of having the house being destroyed. And David, in the other side, he's concerned because he doesn't know if Benjamin is going to accept the deal, and he doesn't know if Benjamin is going to help him or is going to attack him. And then the deal is what all the scene is about. Is David comes to make a deal. So since the beginning, what he's trying to do is make a deal with Benjamin. Breaking down Benjamin. So Benjamin is a 30-year-old man that was killed by his son. So he's a really angry person because he got stuck in where he lived in his house because he had something to do that he didn't do in life. So that's why he got stuck to the world. Then he became really protective with what was his because after the death happened, the house was trying to be sold many times and he didn't want anybody else live in his house because he still believed that is his property. Then he doesn't trust anyone. He hates every single person, especially because of the trauma that he had of his son killing him. He doesn't want to trust anybody. He doesn't want to like anybody because he believes that everybody is gonna harm him in a way. Then he only cares about himself and his house. There's the only two important things for Benjamin is himself and his house. Then the trauma is an important factor of Benjamin's personality because again he was killed by his son, so that made his personality change completely. Think about what he did wrong and how he can change, and also being upset of like living 20 years without getting older and stuck in the same house in the same place without being able to live. Then he's really lonely because of the fact that he doesn't trust anybody. So he is by himself, all his family is dead, and all his family is either in heaven or in hell, and he's stuck in earth. And then he's really confident. He knows that he is a ghost, and he knows that people is scared from him. So that's what makes him really confident and really secure of what he's saying and how he says stuff. He's all the time. He knows what he's gonna say and what he wants to do and everything. Then breaking down David. This is what I did for my last presentation. So I'm just gonna read through it, but I think that it's important also to know who David is because of what is coming next, of analyzing both characters together. So David is a 48-year-old man. He's single, he's lonely, as well as Benjamin. He's a nervous person. He looks for success. He doesn't have any life goals. He's insecure, and he's used to follow a schedule. So this is David when he starts this scene. So now we're gonna see how David is gonna change after this scene. Character development. So now we're gonna see both David and Benjamin character development throughout this scene in particular. First, David. So in starting the scene, he starts with the personality that we saw before, that is insecure, nervous, and everything, and especially of what he's doing. That's why he starts scared and uncomfortable because he knows that he's in a place with a spirit that doesn't want him there, and he knows that he's gonna talk to him. And David, being a really insecure person, he's like, he doesn't know if he's gonna be successful doing this, but he wants to try because it's his last option for keeping his job. But then after he mentions that the house was gonna be destroyed, and he saw that Benjamin personality changed, his reaction to that was he changed completely. He made a completely change. Now he became confident. He started talking with a head up. He started talking as he was the owner of the house. He had the power of convincement. He started convincing Benjamin of everything. He started convincing Benjamin that someone was gonna live in his house for a week or 2 weeks, and he started convincing him and telling him that that's like the best option. Then he started being happy that is until this moment on the scenes, until this moment in the story, we never see David with a smile, and this is the first time that we actually see him with a smile, being happy, like confident, comfortable with what's going on around him. And that's how the scene ends. So after this particular scene, David is gonna keep the personality of being confident, of being happy, of being comfortable, because of because he saw that he could have success by selling this house after seeing the reaction of Benjamin. Then in the case of Benjamin, Benjamin started the scene with like he doesn't want to change, he's not friendly, he's confident, he wants to attack David, he's like all the time like trying to kick him out of the house, he doesn't want to listen to David until David mentions of the house gonna be destroyed. That's kind of like the click that makes both personality change. When that is mentioned, Benjamin starts being insecure, he starts to think about what can happen in the future, that somebody's gonna come and take what is his, and he's gonna like don't he's not gonna have any possibility. So he actually starts listening to David, and he starts listening to the possibility of helping David to sell his house in order for him to keep it. So he starts to be worried, and in a way he tries to be friendly with David because he knows that he needs David in order to keep his house. So as I say before, these two, if you see them in the other way, from here up and from him down, you can see that basically they switch personalities. He became the confident one, David, and Benjamin became the insecure one. Positioning of the actors. I'm gonna do this 1 second so I can move these tiny things right here. So this is really important for the actors because Benjamin is a ghost. So what we thought for this scene is that not Benjamin, for not to be seen until the end, is the best, because listening to a voice without seeing something is scarier than actually like seeing someone. And it's also kind of like Benjamin doesn't want to put himself in danger to like show himself, like just like that. So David is gonna come to the house. He's gonna sit in a chair that is in front of the fireplace, and he basically, his range of movement is gonna be here when he starts playing the Ouija. Then he's gonna stand, then he's gonna move from here, and as he gets confident and he starts feeling like he owns his house, he's gonna come again to sit here. But this time he's not gonna sit in an insecure way, but if not, he's gonna sit in a really confident way. So in that way we can see the difference of David just with this range of movement. And in the case of Benjamin, his voice is gonna start coming from like the second floor of the house, and then he's gonna move closer, then to the first floor, then then to this to the too far on another room, then in front of him, then again over here. And this is really important because David position and Benjamin position with each other says a lot. When they are close, that means that Benjamin is trying to be friendly, is trying to make a deal. And when they are far, is that Benjamin doesn't want to have any interaction with David. So at the end of this scene, Benjamin is gonna show himself. He's gonna kick the chair of David as a joke, and David is gonna fall and then laugh and stand. So they're gonna see each other and they're gonna make the deal here. Again, one thing that we need to keep in mind for this is that Benjamin is not gonna act with his body, but he's gonna act with his voice. So he needs to make us as an audience feel what he's feeling by his voice, by the tone of his voice and the way that he plays with his voice. Relationship between characters. So in the case of Benjamin, Benjamin is using David, and he doesn't consider him his friend. He considers him like someone that comes to help him, but that Benjamin is really intelligent, so he also knows that David is using also Benjamin to help himself. So Benjamin is kind of like, okay, I'm using you, so don't get too confident with me, but okay, I'm gonna treat you a little bit friendly, so you don't get scared of me. And in the case of David, he's also using Benjamin, of course, but in the case of David, he thinks that he found a colleague. As I mentioned before, David is a really, really, really lonely person. But the difference, and Benjamin as well, but the difference between Benjamin and David is that Benjamin is dead and David is not. So David, when he became confident with Benjamin, he thought that when they make a deal, that also means that he had a colleague, someone that he can trust on, and someone that is going to help him. So kind of like David got happy in that way, that he found someone. But of course, Benjamin doesn't want anybody, as his personality is. So working with my actors. So my actors is Jack Carroll and Jim Houghton. Jack Carroll is gonna be David, and Jim Houghton is gonna be Benjamin. So how I'm gonna work with my actors in this particular scene is, first I'm gonna read and analyze the script. In that way, they both can understand the reason of why is this scene happening and in this moment and the way it's happening. Then we're gonna talk about the essence. We're gonna talk about what is the different character goals, what is the goal of the scene in particular, and what's like, what do they want in the beginning and what do they want at the end of the scene, right? I'm gonna explain the blocking. I'm gonna let Benjamin know. In this case, Jim Houghton. I'm gonna tell Jim Houghton that he's not gonna be. His body is not gonna act until the end. So he really needs. I really need to work with him, with the, with working with his voice. We need to work together with the tone of his voice, how he's gonna play with his voice, so the audience can get his emotions and what he's feeling in particular. Then, in the case of Jack Carroll, I'm also gonna explain him why he's gonna start sitting, and then how he's gonna walk around and how his body is gonna change. Because when you're an unconfident person, you walk in a way. You walk with your body down, more stick to the floor. But when you became confident, you kind of like put your chin up. So that's what I want to create with the blocking, and that's what I want them to understand. So like, for them to understand this, I want to hear the character analysis and then discuss their relationship after the encounter. So in this way, we can also analyze the character development, and we can, these three, I think, that are really pretty much together. I think that it's really important for us to analyze the character development so they can understand how they're gonna start the scene talking and acting with each other, and how they're gonna end this scene acting and talking to each other. So for this to happen, what I like to do is to have them both sitting. First first sitting with each other separately and talking to them about their personality, right? Not about the scene, but about their personality. I wanna know what they feel that David is, who Benjamin is, what do they want in life, and stuff like that. And after we have that clear, I want them to sit with each other and now talk and analyze the scene together. So they are first going to introduce each other, gonna say who are they and what type of personality do they have in the script, and then we're gonna talk about why what do they think that they want to get in that particular scene, and how do they achieve that. So I think that that's really important, because I think that in that way, Jack Carroll can understand that in order for him to achieve having a deal with Benjamin, he needs to change his personality. and he needs to make that twist to start being confident and start like being quicker with the thoughts. And also in the case of Jim, I also think that this is gonna be really helpful so he can understand also what he wants to consider and what he needs to do in order to consider it in order to get it. So in this case for Jim is to get that deal as well. So he needs to also change his personality in order to get a Jack to be more his friend and to help him to sell the house, right? Location. For the location of this scene, we got a Jim Hudon house. Jim is also part of our group, so their parents just bought this house. We were gonna shoot there because the house is empty. It's really a really nice house. It has 2 floors. That is really good for the what we wanna create with Benjamin being in the second floor first, and then going down to the first floor, and then moving around the house while he's talking to David. So this is a really good house. And we were thinking of like changing a little bit the set design so we can make it look a little bit as an old house and as a scary house at the same time. Production notes. So the first thing that we need to make sure is to find the spots far from their position and blocking them before the shoot day. So in order we need to find spots because we need to find spots where the camera is going to be positioned in order to make the audience feel that the camera is where Benjamin is at. And as I mentioned before, I want this to be really far from David's position, so something maybe in the second floor in a really far room. So for having a smoothly production, we really need to find these spots before and marking them. Then release. The house is basically most of our scenes are gonna be in the shooting the house, so it's gonna be a really long day of shooting. So we need to take that in consideration. So we can bring enough water, enough food. We can bring coffee. We can bring extra clothes if we need. We can bring extra batteries and everything. Then we need to find someone to be responsible for the crew meals because it's really important for run the shoot smoothly that we are all concentrating on what we're doing, and it's also important for us to eat. So it will be good to find someone as a PA to be just responsible of the crew meals and like making sure that at 3 p.m. exactly the meal is there, at 9 p.m. exactly the meal is there, and like certain times have like cookies ready for the crew to go and eat in tiny breaks that we're gonna have and stuff like that. So everybody else can just worry about their roles in the production. Then we need to make sure that the extras and actors know the time they need to be present, because in all the house we have a montage that we need require a lot of extras, around 8. Then we have Benjamin, David, then we have Karen, then we have basically a lot of actors that are gonna be inside the house, and we saw in the image before, the house is not that big, so it will be good that everybody knows at what time do they need to be here and until what time they're gonna be in set. So in that way, we are not all the time crowded with actors that we not necessarily need at that time. Then, as I mentioned before, it's gonna be a long day, so it's important to have extra battery for the camera, if it's not 1 2, so we can have the camera last for the whole day. So thank you so much.